After 5 years and 1 week of waiting because of regional holidays that delayed my package, I finally got to play the highly awaited sequel for Breath of the Wild, The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, so here are some of my first impressions. Just noting right in the beginning that this video will have spoilers in the form of footage and discussion, so if you don't want to possibly hear about something you haven't done in the game yet, please click out of the video now. So starting things off, as of recording this video I've played around 2 days worth of Tears of the Kingdom, and I cannot understate just how big this game is. I've seen people in social media calling the game $70 DLC, and if that is the case, this just might be the biggest DLC ever seen in gaming history. As someone who played Breath of the Wild for around 100 hours and who has explored quite a decent chunk of the new map, I have to say that the exploring is still top tier, even though the overworld map is basically the same. And if I'm being pretty honest, saying the world is the same doesn't give it any justice, as the landscape has drastically changed. Locations you might remember looking a certain way in Breath of the Wild took a completely different turn in Tears of the Kingdom, which has made it quite interesting to put in perspective. Staying on the topic of world differences, I also need to point out the fact that Tears of the Kingdom not only doubles but triples the map size in a way I never expected it to do. Ever since the trailer released, we knew the game was going to have a focus on the sky with the new islands being shown and all that. It was to my surprise that Nintendo actually added an entire underground area which extends throughout the entire map and has a ton of hidden stuff to do and find. With the Sky Islands and the underground, the game is basically now divided in 3 different parts. Honestly, this has been really overwhelming, as I honestly can't keep up with every hint and directions the NPCs are giving me. I honestly believe we aren't going to see everything this game has to offer until we're a few months into its release. As for the mechanics of the game, I think it doesn't give the game justice if I just tell you it plays like Breath of the Wild. On a base level, the game engine is the same and the physics are similar. On a gameplay mechanic side of things, the game is completely different. You lose all the powers you had in Breath of the Wild with the Sheikah Slate, but the new ones you get are way better than anything I could ask for. So, if you know anything about the game already, you know that in the beginning you get an arm from this guy called Roru, who was the first king of Hyrule and saves you when you get attacked by Ganon beneath Hyrule Castle. This arm he gives you is the source of all your new powers. If you have been in the online gaming space in these past few weeks, you already know that one of the powers this arm has is to attach things to each other, making it so you can create all types of inventions you can imagine, so you can make puzzles easier or just approach them in a different way. To complement this power, the game has a wide array of Zonai Devices, Zonai being the legendary race that's featured in this game, that you can use to improve your creations. These devices range from batteries to extend the duration of your creations, driver seats so you can properly control them, headlights, wheels, fans to boost your vehicles, and so on and so on. I think there are a lot of these devices I haven't seen yet, so I can't speak too much on it, but from what I've seen until now and used, I can say I really love this system, as it adds an whole entire depth to the game with huge creative ceilings. The other 2 powers that were added to the main gameplay loop were Fusion and Time Manipulation. Fusion is amazing when it comes to bringing diversity into your gameplay. What Fusion basically does is it makes it so you can use almost any type of item and attach it to your weapons, improving them or creating entire new weapons. The game also gets rid of the elemental arrows, and now you can literally make arrows out of everything. Attach an eye to an arrow and you have a homing arrow. Attach different plants to it and get anything from a flashbang to a smoke bomb or to elemental arrows. The normal weapons work the same way. The twist with swords and melee weapons is that Ganondorf's awakening made it so all the weapons in the kingdom decayed. The game uses this plot in an interesting and smart way, because now it gives the incentive to the player to use their weapons and always fuse them with monster parts or things they find out in the world. This also adds another layer of choice, since now you're almost conditioned to having to choose if you want to use your powerful monster parts to create badass weaponry or to create highly effective elixirs. The Time Manipulation is the other power, and as in-depth as it is, it might be the power I enjoyed the least. I wholeheartedly admit that this might be the case because I have no clue how to do cool stuff with it, but in summary, what Time Manipulation does is it makes it so the object rewinds through its path of movement back into its original position. All of these mechanics combined have made it so shrines are way more enjoyable to complete, as I really feel like most of the shrines I've solved, I did so in a way that the game didn't intend me to. And to be honest, I really love this, as I hate when sandbox type games force me to solve puzzles in a linear way. All in all, I think this game is on another level from Breath of the Wild, on ways we can even start imagining. When it comes to the story, I have to say this one is catching my attention way more than Breath of the Wild's did. I've been grinding when it comes to searching for the geoglyphs just so I can get another cutscene. I am going for the true ending since I never did it in Breath of the Wild and I want to get experience with this one. The quests in this game I feel are a bit more deep than Breath of the Wild's, but not entirely different. There is more depth to them, but that is inescapable since now quests aren't limited to doing something on the surface, but they also take you to the sky, to a well, to a cavern, or even into the deep underground. As for the collectibles and completion criteria, I think this game also offers way much more than what its prequel did. I got this realization the other day when I was looking through my loading screen and at my key items section in the inventory, and I realized I didn't even know what half of the stuff in there was for, and some of them I had been actively collecting ever since I started my playthrough. In all honesty, as much as I want to make this video bigger on an information side of things, I really cannot, because half of what I say will either become irrelevant or disproven over the next few weeks. There are simply way too many things in this game for someone to cover in the space of one video, at least if that video is not a few hours long. I have been enjoying this game as much as I thought I would, and I think it's a breath of fresh air to have a game that is 100% exploring and freedom and 0% hand-holding. As of now, I don't think I have anything negative to say about the game, but that might change with time, so I'll wait and see to make my final conclusions. With everything that has released this year, I think this is probably my game of the year, at least until now, but we'll have to see what games are released around the fourth quarter of the year. Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is coming to be everything I expected it to be, and I haven't seen the half of it. If I have to say one thing about the game for people who want to buy it, it would be go into the game expecting it to be overwhelming, but don't take it as a negative. From what I get through playing the game, it is supposed to be overwhelming. I honestly don't believe that the developers intend for you to see everything on a first playthrough. There is simply too much to see, and in a way that's really good, since it not only adds replayability but also gives you way much more than the $70 you paid for. Is the game worth it? Yes, on some first impressions it completely is worth it, so if you like Zelda and enjoyed Breath of the Wild, this is a must grab for your Switch lineup. This was a video I wanted to make to share my thoughts on the game since we're still on its early days and because I got a capture card I want to make use of. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask them down in the comments. I'm down for debating some Zelda if y'all want to. Since I got my capture card, as I just said, I'm going to be recording more content on my Nintendo Switch, but other than that, I hope you have an amazing week if you're playing Tears of the Kingdom or not. This has been the Retro Den, and I'm out.